My mom forgot to make me a plate at Christmas. Said there wasn't enough. Then handed seconds to my brother's 1-month girlfriend. I didn't argue. I stood, took the dish I'd brought, and executed a clean exit with my boys. They called me rude. I didn't make a scene. I made a decision. I'm Lieutenant Commander Maya Sloan, U.S. Navy, 2 sons, Liam 9, Theo 7, a reliable minivan and a habit of running every tense moment like a checklist. 3 hours through sleet and holiday traffic had already put a headache behind my eyes, but I told myself to push through. A few polite laughs, eat, leave. Simple op. We pulled up and no one came to the door. Curtains twitched, that was it. Inside, the dining room was already full, as if we were late though we were on time. My mother, Diane Sloan, gave me that clipped smile that never reaches her eyes and went back to her wine. My brother, Grant, sat shoulder to shoulder with his new girlfriend, Kyra, 30 days in and somehow already part of the family formation. They had prime seats by Mom. My sons and I were parked at the far end. No place cards. No napkins. Message received. Platter started moving. Liam and Theo got plates. Everyone got plates. Then nothing. I waited, watching dishes get lighter with each pass. Mom walked by, smirking. There wasn't enough for everyone, she said, just loud enough for the room. Figured you wouldn't mind, Maya. My boys looked at me confused. Honestly, same. I stayed composed. In my world, panicking during an engine caution gets you hurt. You breathe. You decide. Then Kyra, Sequin's loud laugh, stood up for seconds. Mom held the bowl steady so she could heap on more potatoes like this was normal. That was the moment. I stood, walked to the kitchen where Kyra had parked her plate to grab a drink, picked it up without a word and kept walking, back through the dining room, past the stairs, straight to the door. Chairs scraped. Grant muttered. Mom stared like I'd violated a treaty. Didn't matter. Liam and Theo rose on instinct, carrying their half-eaten plates like little soldiers who understood the signal. We moved as a unit. No raised voices. No slammed doors. Just a quiet extraction. 5 minutes into the drive, my phone lit up. Missed calls from Mom. A text from Grant. Real mature, Maya. Way to ruin Christmas. I didn't respond. Because in that moment I realized it wasn't just one night. It was the last night. They called me rude. Fine. They were about to learn what rude with boundaries looks like. The drive home was quiet. Liam and Theo whispered in the back seat, trying to decode whether we were in trouble or if something truly bad had happened. I didn't speak until we got home. I made cocoa, put on a movie and let them fall asleep on the couch under the same blanket. Then I sat in the dark and ran the after-action report. It wasn't about a plate. It was about every plate before it. Every holiday where I brought gifts, food, energy and patience, and got gossip and silence in return. And the part no one ever saw? For 2 years I'd been paying my parents' bills. When Dad's heart scared us and Mom stopped working, it was my card they used. Groceries, electric, gas, meds, even Amazon orders that had nothing to do with survival. I never complained. I thought I was doing the right thing. They never said thank you. Not once. So the next morning I made 2 calls. First, the bank. I canceled the card they'd been using and moved the autopays to a new account. Second, a text to my parents, short, polite, final. Please don't use the card anymore. I've closed it. I'll be handling my finances privately from now on. It took 43 minutes for the first call to come in. I let it ring. Mom's voicemail wasn't an apology. It was a drawn-out lecture about her confusion and disappointment, as if Christmas dinner justified everything. Then Dad texted. What's going on with the card? We can't get groceries. I stared at it, deleted it and let the second wave hit. Kyra chimed in. Aunt Miriam, who hadn't messaged me in a year, suddenly found her thumbs. The family group chat, the one that forgets me until there's a bill, lit up with fake concern and thinly veiled jabs. I responded to no one. Not because I lacked words, because they didn't earn them. That night the boys and I ate grilled cheese on the floor and built a Lego city. For the first time in years I felt light. Not happy yet, free. 3 days. No replies. No blocks. Just my life without their noise. Apparently silence scared them more than yelling. On the 4th day a knock. I knew it was them before I checked. My parents never come to my house unless they want something. Birthdays? No. School plays? No. But now, store-brand cookies and fixed smiles on my porch. I opened the door just enough to be polite. The boys were in the living room. I wasn't going to hide this anymore. Mom started in that tone she reserves for company. We're worried about you. We don't understand what happened. You must be going through something. You're right, I said. I'm going through clarity. Dad tried logistics. The plate was an accident. We thought you'd already eaten. I drove 3 hours in sleet with 2 kids, I said, calm as a checklist. There wasn't even a seat for me at the table. He opened his mouth again. I lifted a hand, pilot to tower. Copy. Here are the standing orders. The card stays closed. I won't fund people who can't spare me a chair. Excess is earned. If you want to see Liam and Theo, it happens on neutral ground, with basic respect, on time, and no side comments. No more triangles. Don't send Grant, Kyra, or the group chat to soften the target. You have something to say? You say it to me once and like an adult. Mom's smile cracked. You're being dramatic. No. I'm being specific. She tried again. Family takes care of family. I nodded. Exactly. I did. For 2 years. Quietly. Now I'm taking care of mine. We stood in the cold a few beats. They expected tears, a scene, a softening. I gave them procedure. Boundaries aren't anger, they're airspace. I have to get back to my boys, I said, easing the door. You're welcome to text when you're ready to follow the rules. If not, this was our goodbye. Mom exhaled hard. Dad stared at the cookies like they might answer for him. I closed the door gently. No slam. Just a click that sounded a lot like peace. Inside, Liam looked up from the couch. Are we in trouble, Mom? Not even a little, I said, ruffling his hair. We just changed the rules. He didn't have an answer. Then my mother said the line that snapped the whole picture into focus. We just thought you could handle it. You've always been the strong one. There was their doctrine. If I was strong, I didn't need kindness. Didn't need a plate. Didn't need basic decency. In their heads, that excused everything. I'm done, I said. Not just with the card, with the role. I'm not the generous daughter on demand, the quiet scapegoat, or the emotional punching bag you wind up every holiday. You're not welcome here. And you won't be around Liam and Theo until you learn how to respect their mother. No yelling. No tears. Just shock on their faces as I closed the door. I expected a come down. Instead, I slept like I'd finally landed after a long flight. Morning brought an unmarked envelope taped to my door. 4 pages, front and back, in my mother's looping hand, rambling, manipulative, half apologies laced with guilt. A paragraph about how hard things had been since you cut us off. I didn't finish it. I tore it in half and fed the bin. Then the quiet started. Too quiet. Not peace. The kind of silence that feels like someone holding their breath. My parents don't drop things that bruise their pride. Silence means they're building something. I stuck to routine. Sledding with the boys, chili on the stove, clearing the garage. I let the weight shake off. And just when I started to believe they'd run out of steam, the next stunt hit. Thursday pickup. Theo sprinted to me, babbling about an art project. Liam, my careful, watchful one, handed me a folded note. A lady gave it to me, he said. She said she knows Grandma. The paper had been crumpled and smoothed. Inside, a printed screenshot of my bank statement from 2 months ago. My personal account. Charges circled in red. A $146 grocery bill from their town, 3 pharmacy charges, a Cape May hotel. At the bottom, scrawled in pen, so you've always been keeping score. Didn't click. Then it did. Grant. Years ago, after his divorce, I'd walked my brother through my banking app to move money for Mom's meds, temporary access. I never changed the password. I didn't think I had to. Apparently I did. We got home, I locked the door and dropped the blinds. Then I ran the checklist. Changed every password, enabled 2FA, revoked all devices, new passphrase. Called the bank, flagged the login. The rep confirmed recent access from Nevada. Grant and Kyra moved there 3 months ago. I was still processing the audacity when the doorbell rang after dark. A plain box on the mat, no sender. Inside, a half-used roll of duct tape and a child's stuffed bear. Theo's bear. The one he lost at my parents' house last summer. No note. Just that. I filed the report. Not because of the bear itself, because this had crossed from petty to calculated. I documented everything. Photos of the envelope, the bank printout, the box, the shipping label, the timestamps. I emailed the principal to lock our pickup list to me only, added a family password and alerted the front office. I texted my neighbor to keep an eye out for unfamiliar cars. Cameras went up by midnight. OPSEC isn't just for work. It's how I keep my kids safe. They wanted to make me feel small. Instead, they taught me to harden the perimeter. I showed the officers the note, the printed bank statement, and gave them Grant's name. They told me to add cameras, document everything, and keep a running log. Roger that. The next night we got home from a movie and I froze in the driveway. My garage door was spray painted in red. Ungrateful. Drips down the panels, rushed and sloppy. I got the boys inside, pulled the footage. Grainy, hood up, midnight. But the getaway car parked a house down. Plate clear as day. Kyra's. No tears. No panic. Hot chocolate, kids to bed, lights off. That wasn't vandalism, it was a message. And it told me exactly what I needed to know. They weren't trying to win me back. They were trying to break me. They forgot who I am. At 0800 I called a locksmith. New deadbolts, new codes, new keys. By noon, a buddy from base who now does home security had more cameras up. Front, back, interior entry, cloud backups, motion alerts. While the boys were at school, I took the bear they'd mailed like a threat and burned it in a steel bucket behind the garage. No drama. Just clarity. Then I planned like a mission. I pulled every receipt, transfer, and autopay from the last 2 years. Their groceries, their meds, their gas, the random Amazon emergencies. I built a clean PDF. Timelines, totals, screenshots. Added photos of the spray paint, the creepy box, the bank printout they handed to my kid. I sent the packet to every relative who ever whispered behind my back, the mutuals who still boost their Facebook posts, and the church office where my mother volunteers. Subject: if we're keeping score, let's log it correctly. Under an hour, my phone lit up. My aunt called in tears. I had no idea. A cousin texted screenshots from my mother's vague betrayed by blood post. The comments? Not what she expected. People were turning. Truth has gravity. But I wasn't done. I updated billing everywhere my old card lived. Utilities, pharmacy, the whole list, except one. Their internet. I left that one to die on the vine. 2 days later, we can't access our account. We need your help. I didn't answer. I forwarded the voicemail to my attorney. Next, I called the property manager for their duplex. Calm voice, straight facts. They've been listing me as a guarantor without consent. Any automatic payments tied to me are terminated. He understood. He'd be in touch with them. Then came the calls. Grant. Then Kyra. Finally, my mother, voice soft, careful. Please, we don't know what to do. For half a second, the old reflex twitched. The one that writes checks and swallows hurt. Then I saw my boys' faces on Christmas. The red paint. The bank statement shoved at my child like a flyer. I replied once. You said I'm strong. Be strong. Figure it out. Then I blocked every number. Knew SIM the next morning. Pickup list at school stays me only with a family password. Neighbors watching. Alerts on. Comms tight. People like them don't stop because you shut a door. They pound harder. So I didn't leave a door. I bricked the wall. A month rolled by. No knocks. No packages. No late night voicemails. Just silence. The real kind that makes a house feel lighter. I still checked the cams every night like a pre-flight. Everything green, until it wasn't. Under the street light, dead center on the sidewalk. A cardboard sign. I stepped out, picked it up. We're sorry. Let us explain. No names. No threats. Just that. I dropped it in the outside bin and went back to bed. 3 days later a letter found me, not at home, at work. My father's handwriting. And this time it wasn't the usual sorry you were offended maneuver. He admitted they'd used me. Said he hadn't realized how far things went until Grant pushed it over the line. No mention of the spray paint. No mention of the bank login. He wrote that my mother wasn't well. They were desperate. That word stuck like a burr, but it didn't change my course. I didn't respond. One detail still gnawed at me, the Cape May hotel charge from months back. I'd shrugged it off as another emergency. I pulled the statement, called the hotel, asked for the folio. 2 nights. Oceanfront. Guest of record, Al Owens. Additional guest, Kyra. Grant and Kyra's beach weekend. On my card. The same weekend I was up all night with 2 kids in puke bowls. That was the last thread. I printed the full packet again and mailed it, not to cousins or group chats, to the places that actually matter. Grant's new employer, his landlord, his in-laws, Kyra's parents. Then I walked into a local attorney's office, dropped the binder on the desk and said, "I'm not chasing revenge. I want protection." We drafted 2 letters, formal cease and desist notices, one for Grant, one for my parents, plus a do not contact clause and written revocation of any past permission to touch my finances. I signed with my full name. No apology. No footnotes. That night I hugged my boys a little longer. My youngest asked, "Are Grandma and Grandpa coming back?" "No, Bud." He smiled, relieved, not mean. He understood. The door isn't just closed. It's gone. Time moved. 2 months. Winter sagged into wet spring. The silence didn't bring peace. It brought space. Space lets memory grow legs. The boys were thriving. I was steadier than I'd been in years. Still, trauma teaches you to wait for impact. Then a new curveball. A letter postmarked Oregon. No return address. Inside, a photo. My parents behind a folding table in a church basement. Hand-painted sign. Community donations welcome. They looked smaller. Tired. My mother's hair shorter and gray. My father's hand in a cast. I traced the postmark to a small shelter's Facebook page. There they were in the background of a post. "They've been helping every weekend." I didn't reach out. I didn't call the shelter. I slid the photo into a drawer. Not as a keepsake, as evidence that the story had shifted. A week later, an unmarked envelope waited on my windshield. Inside, a check in my father's handwriting. No note. No lecture. I didn't cash it. I didn't tear it up. It joined the photo in the same drawer. Because here's what the cockpit teaches you. Not every radio call needs a reply. Sometimes you hold altitude, watch your instruments, and let the weather pass. Maybe they're changing. Maybe they're performing. Either way, this isn't an ending. It's a pause. If they reach out again, I won't be the one left speechless.